r/AskReddit. Pawnshop owners, what was the most illegal thing a customer had brought to your shop? A guy literally brought in an RPG. He was doing yard work for this old lady whose husband had passed. She gave it to him for doing some yard work, not realizing it was live and active. The guy was career military, and after the bomb squad came and disabled it, they went to her house and found a trove of similarly very illegal military grade weapons. Not that I'd want anyone to get hurt, but a little old lady in a violent standoff with police would seriously break the tension. Old lady with rocket launcher or squad of police with pistols. Who wins? Employee not owner. A guy brought in a stack of like 15 laptops that all said property of city public school right on the top of each one. He then threatened to shoot me when I told him to get out. Not an owner but an employee. A man brought in a bag of cocaine and asked if I would buy it, then resell it back to him in a couple of days. Mind if I call in a buddy? He's an expert in cocaine. Just a worker here, but we had a couple come in to pawn their backhoe over the weekend. Happens a lot, and brought their bill of sale. They wanted a simple $1,000 loan, which wasn't bad considering how much it was worth. No more than 30 minutes later, cops are there with the owner. Apparently they worked for him and went and pawned all of his industrial equipment. How did that go? You had to return it, I assume. Did you get your $1,000 back from the thief? It went as well as they usually do. Police confiscated the item to use it in court to try and extend the sentence. We lost the $1,000 because cops tried to tack it on during the legal process. We receive restitution from them for usually a week of about $50 payments, then no more payments after, usually because they aren't working or aren't making enough in jail. Worked at a gun shop and a shady looking guy brought in a few pairs of night vision goggles, like high-end military grade PVS 14 night vision goggles. Ask him why he was selling them. Oh, I just don't need them anymore. Cool man, do you mind if I call the company real quick and run the numbers? Sometimes this stuff is stolen property. And as soon as I said that, he jumped across the counter, grabbed the goggles, and bolted for the door. Not an owner, but I got a call from a pawn shop saying that one of my at-home employees tried to sell her work computer. It has my company's logo and contact info right on it, plain as day. How stupid can some people be? A school security guard pawned his service pistol and other equipment. He got caught by his supervisor carrying around a pellet gun. Why am I not at all surprised that it's Florida? In a similar vein, my friend found some weed in the oven he bought from a used appliance store. The shop called him to ask about the oven. Luckily, he didn't give out his address. How much weed? I'm not sure. He said a bag full and valued it at $200 or $300. Sir, how's the oven? Did you want to trade it back? Nope. It bakes real good FFFFFFFP. Literally had a customer come in and say, hi, I've just stolen this phone off my sister. How much will you give me for it? Also had a customer bringing 5 MacBooks at the same time with a certain logo on it which gave me the impression they were stolen. Told him to leave them with me for testing and called the police. Had another customer bringing a gun and a crossbow. That was weird. I'm in the UK. This is not a normal thing. I had this guitar that had a little sliding door on the side, meant to hold picks. I put weed in there as a joke. Completely forgot about it as I was selling it. They were chill. I didn't work there, but was there at the time. A guy brings in a dead duck, which hunting is illegal in my area, and also why? Just why? Dwight, we talked about this. No dead animals in the office. No, this one is different. I found it dead. Story from the 90s. My Fender Stratocaster was stolen, and I reported it. Couple years passed, and an officer called me. Officer, your guitar serial number showed up at a pawn shop. Me, great. So you know who stole it? Officer, the guy who sold it to the pawn shop said it was a present from his girlfriend, but she died. Me, okay. So I get my guitar back. Officer, no. The pawn shop already sold it. Me, don't they have to check serial numbers? Officer, yeah, but that can take 30 days and we can't expect them to hold on to this stuff forever. Me, what? So what do I do now? Officer, nothing really. Me, so why are you calling me? Officer, just thought you would want to know. Bye. Source, my true story. Most stuff isn't even worth the time to report it stolen. Not a pawn shop owner, but was in the pawn shop when this happened. Someone brought in a wheelchair with a tag for the local hospital on the back. Example, property of somewhere hospital. The pawn shop owner told them to leave it and get out. They didn't. He called the non-emergency line. The police came and picked it up and took it back to the hospital. Or that's what they said they were doing. Why wouldn't you believe them? Were they scooting around in the car park taking turns? I started laughing out loud as I was picturing cops taking turns to do a spin and wheelers with it for some reason. Friend of mine owns a shop. One day a woman walks in and asks if there was a female employee she could talk to. No problem, it's a family shop and his 18-year-old daughter comes out to help her. She asks to go out to her car where she opens the trunk. Whole thing is packed with sex toys, bondage shit, outfits and a big box of dildos. Woman says her sister who recently passed away sold this stuff at parties and she had no idea what to do with it. Not illegal, but hilarious. Are you kidding? She had a trunk filled with weapons of mass destruction. Not a pawn shop owner, but I was on the receiving end of someone selling my stolen stuff at one. We had our house burgled in UK. Me and my dad went to some pawn shops to give them a list of everything taken. Whilst we were in there, someone comes up to the counter and starts unloading a bunch of stuff they want to pawn. It was our stuff. We got in a major incident inside the shop. The asshole manager of cash converters was saying it's nothing to do with me. Take it all outside the shop. Sorry buddy, but when you're happy to buy a camera full of someone else's family photos, a laptop, and a bunch of other electronics from two junkies who look like they are homeless, no teeth, obvious signs of drug abuse, etc., then it's absolutely 100% your problem to deal with. Police called, junkies charged with handling stolen goods. I got charged with assault. That was later dropped. Nobody charged with the actual burglary, so no real punishments for anyone involved. An MP40. Not actually me, but my significant other. He manages a store owned by a national chain. Brought in on pawn, and as with all neat things he was just waiting for the loan to drop. After 30 days of non-payment, item goes out for sale. At this point he could purchase it. Now, I'm not a huge gun historian, but I know the era and style, and had to ask, that gun is super rare, if it's not full auto. When a gun is taken in on loan the gun is run, not the person, so our state's Bureau of Investigation was notified of its existence. Not only is a federal stamp for automatic weapon expensive AF, it's also difficult to obtain. So he was no longer going to purchase it. And it's a good thing, because shortly after, the gun was seized by ATF, which is when we found out the actual worth was $10,000 to $20,000. Original owner brought it back as a war trophy. Son is the one who got a loan for like $200, but it was never registered, so it was contraband. Edit. Good news is that it wasn't destroyed, but ended up in a museum. Employee here, not an owner, but I don't know if it's necessarily illegal, but one time one guy brought me a handful of human teeth with bloody roots and gold fillings. He wanted me to extract the gold. I said no thanks bro. I run a coin business. I will happily buy gold capped teeth. Gold is gold. Typically come from someone whose family member was a dentist and left them at their estate. Not a pawn shop owner or employee, but a block away from my high school was a pawn shop. It was announced that everyone in the entire school was going to get a Chromebook to do schoolwork. On the first day that we got the Chromebooks, it was rumored that multiple people had brought them to the pawn shop to make a quick buck. I asked one of my teachers, who was in charge of all the Chromebook repairs, about this later, and he said that only one student had actually done it that he knew of, and he had used the money to buy weed. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more.